Well, we were recently in April of 2021 at the Idaho Horse Expo in Idaho. And they had some clinics on packing your horse to go up the trails. These were run by some of the Back Country Horsemen. And we want to bring some of this to you. So let's watch right now from the Idaho Horse Expo, this clinic on packing with your horse or mule.
The Sawbuck, actually, a similar style was used by the Native Americans for packing gear. They would use elk antler, deer antler, moose antler, and they would lash it with sinew, and they created something very similar to this. Leather straps, rigging, breast collar, breeching, pretty simple thing. So this is a very common pack saddle wherever you go. It's still used today all around the world for good reason, because it works. One of the big benefits of a Sawbuck is it's lightweight. It really is not a heavy pack saddle. So when we're talking ponies or burros, mini horses, things that already are going to carry a smaller load than, say, a big 14-hand mule, or even bigger than this, your weight of your tack is factored into your load. So this being, say, 20 pounds is going to be a big difference than if I put a decker on pistol at 50 pounds. That's going to take away from my load, especially when everything that he can carry hovers right under 150 pounds is what he'll typically pack for me. So that's why I like the Sawbuck on him. One of the good benefits of the Sawbuck is you'll actually see that there's two cinches, so that helps stabilize his load when he's going down the trail. So again, that's a very stable, good platform. It's lightweight, it's rugged, it's durable. It can be prone to breaking if you have a wreck, because literally it's bolted together at this point. These are cut halfway through and put together, so that is your weak point on this pack saddle. As we move over to Polly, she's wearing what's called the decker. Now, here in Idaho, this is the king of pack saddles. So sometime between 1898 and 1900, the decker was created here in Idaho, in northern Idaho, up north of Grangeville. It was an Ariapo packer. He took a Sawbuck. I believe, if my memory serves me correct, he took old horseshoes, he broke his Sawbuck, he welded up some horseshoes, created his cross rails there. 2 to 3 years after he started running a cover on his Sawbuck with the horseshoes, two brothers came along by the name of Decker. They improved on it. They started adding things like they added this wooden crossbar along the ribs of the animal. That provides stability on the side of the animal so your load's not smacking into your animal's ribs. So that's a huge benefit of this style pack saddle. Again, you get the strength of the metal crossbars. On a decker, traditionally, they are a single rigged on the cinch, so you're running a single cinch. Other than that, they're pretty similar. It's a wooden tree. You got your breeching, you got your breast collar. And the early ways that they would pack these was what's called a Manny bundle. So I have some tarps behind me, and we'll pull them out here in a second. But you'll lay your tarp out flat on the ground, and you'll have it almost like a diamond in front of you. And so you'll pack your load in the shape of the diamond, then you'll fold the corners in. Typically, you want your Manny bundle somewhere around 4 feet in length. You can get it, 2 feet in diameter is pretty common. And you'll do a barrel lashing once you get the tarp wrapped around your load. So you'll lash that up, and then they'll actually put a rope on one of the front decker ring, and you'll do a barrel lashing here. And the traditional method is to actually pack your Manny vertical. And so it will angle like this and then like this. And the benefit with that, early on, obviously, miners, outfitters, packers didn't pack scales. So the benefit of doing that Manny is you can have an uneven load. You could run 70 pounds here and 60 pounds there. Because of gravity, we can actually raise and lower your load to actually get the balance on your pack saddle. So you can pack an uneven load using Manny's on a decker, just by raising and lowering it. Today, a common method, the easier method, there's cast, bronze, or steel rings, or hooks, excuse me, and you'll actually just hook it right on these rings. And that's what I'm going to show you today. It's pretty common. there is what's called a modified decker, and you'll see hooks welded on, or there'll be actual offshoots off these metal crossbars, and that's to use a bag, for the bag to actually go over and hook onto. So that's another common version of the decker. A pack saddle I do not have here. It's not very common around here. It's called a Salmon River pack saddle. So it is home in the Sierra Nevadas, Northern California. It was developed 70, 80 years ago, I believe. And what they did is actually took a sawbuck, again, because they like the simplicity of it, the lightweight. They added what used to be called the Ariapo cover. Today it's called a half-breed. And so they added a canvas cover over this. What they did instead of the wooden bars is they actually had sleeves that ran along here, and the miners would slide the pickaxe in or a shovel, and that would provide the stability, and that's how they would carry their axe and shovel. Another common thing on that you'll see, which is the dead giveaway, is they'll actually run two rows of breeching back here. So it helps stabilize as they were packing ore, packing minerals, supplies for the mining. And so today you can still see Salmon River pack saddles used in the Sierra Nevadas. The Forest Service still uses them down there. It looks like a decker, but you will have the wooden crossbars and the 2 rows of breeching. So those are your 3 common ones that are used here in America. Another common method, I haven't really covered it before today because someone brought it up and I said, oh yeah, that's one way, is they're called saddle panniers. So it's a big bag that's connected in the center. There'll be a hole for the horn of your saddle, and then a long oval hole which will go over the back of your seat. And so you'll actually just put it right on top of your saddle. It's a big bag and you can load like that. And I've used that quite a few times. And it's surprising what you can actually pack with saddle panniers and a good riding saddle. The better saddle panniers will have the breeching built into them and a breast collar. And essentially you're doing the exact same thing. You're putting it on that load. A saddle tree is very similar to the tree in a pack saddle. Wooden bars along the back on either side of the spine. There is different angles. There's a Humane and a Tahoma style sawbuck, which kind of changes the angle. So you're going to use that either on a wider back horse or a mule or a narrower back. So you kind of have to choose and decide which style you need based on your horse. So as we go into this, I'm actually going to show 2 methods of hitching down your load. So on poly, with the decker and the bags, I'm going to use a diamond hitch, probably the most common hitch used in packing. It's a little more complicated than the one I'll use on pistol, but the cool thing about a diamond hitch is when you get a top load on their back, which you want it to be very light for obviously center of gravity, but you want to distribute that lashing across your top load. So when you have a bulky load with tents, sleeping bags, backpacks full of clothes, you want to spread that out across that load to evenly hold it in. With pistol, I'm going to use what's called the Arizona box hitch. It's a super simple, easy method on bags. The only difference, instead of having your load distributed on the top, you're just going to have ropes across the top. So it's not going to be as secure with the big, bulky, soft load. So we'll go ahead and get started. The first thing you're ever going to do before packing your animals is making sure they're cinched up good and tight. And by good and tight, it's just like a riding saddle. You want to have room so they can breathe, but you don't want it so loose that that saddle can actually roll to the side, shift forward onto their neck, slide back. And so you're going to want to do it very similar to how you cinch up your riding saddle, snug. With the breast collar, when you get these adjusted, you want it to be loose enough that the animal can actually put their head down to the ground so they can graze, take a drink. You don't want it to choke them. As you're going uphill, they're going to put their head down so they can really lean in. You don't want to choke them when you're doing that. Your breeching, you want that fairly snug. You want it right about the center of their rump. If it's too low, you can actually, as they're going downhill and it starts to shift forward, it's actually going to suck their legs out from under them. You can actually have pack animals go down on their butts if it's too low. So we're going to go, it's okay, give them scratches. So she's good with her cinch, same with pistol. If you notice, I don't have this tied like some people tie their riding cinch. I get it snugged up, I'll fold it over, and I'll put the fold through there to create a loop. Then I'll take my slack and put it through that loop and tighten it down. The reason is if I get on the trail, and when I have a wreck, which I said when, because when you pack, you will have a wreck, I can actually reach up under the bag and I can grab this and yank and it's going to loosen, and I can undo her breast collar and roll the whole thing off with one hand. Packs, bags, everything. So I can get it off of her really quick if needed. I do the exact same thing with pistol on the Sawbuck. There's obviously two, so you can reach up, grab the rear, pop it, grab the front, pop it, take the breast collar off, and the whole load will pop off in one go. I've had it happen in the hills with her. She likes to blow up and push it, get as much air in her lungs as possible when we're cinching her down. And she's pretty round, so if I don't really get it tight or bump her as I'm cinching her down, I'll get the saddles to roll on her, and so I've had to pop it off and just start fresh. So the next steps, once we're saddled and we're good to go, is actually weighing our load. With technology today, it's pretty easy to order a pack scale. This goes up to 100 pounds, and it's in increments of a single pound from 20 to 100. I like to get my bags within a pound at least. A lot of packers will refuse that they ever pack rocks. I'm pretty honest. I pride myself on being honest, and I put some rocks in my bags before. So if I get my packs loaded up on both sides and it's riding uneven, especially when I'm running bags, instead of unpacking it, I'll reach down, grab a softball-sized rock, throw it in the bag. A lot of guys would probably give me a hard time for that, but I do it because it's quick, it's easy, and I'm not ashamed to say I'll pack a rock. So I'll weigh my bags. We're going to go with the typical rule. Most people think, 20%. So we're going to go 20% of the mule's weight. That isn't factoring in your tack. So my average weight on my bags is somewhere around 60 pounds. Sometimes I'll go a little more. I like to go less. I have 9 animals that I'll pack if I need to. So if I'm packing in somewhere, I'll never just go one animal and pack them heavy. I will pack multiple animals and pack them light. They do a lot better with a lighter load, just like riding. It's just like riding them. The lighter you are, the better it is for them. With pistol, the Welsh pony can actually carry more pound for pound than a lot of the bigger horses. So these guys, I've actually packed 30% of their weight, and they don't bat an eye at it. So kind of the breed standard for these guys is pretty regularly referred to at 30%. So we can pack these guys pretty easily, and one reason I do like packing the ponies is with 2 of these guys, I can feed them less than what I feed a big animal, and I can actually pack more with them. And so we love packing these ponies. They're naturally fitted for the mountains. They're a wild animal in Wales and the UK, so they're basically the European version of the Mustang. And so they're super healthy, good feet, so we like using these guys. So we'll go ahead and we'll start with Polly, with the Decker. So I'm going to take my bags, and these 2 bags have lids on them, and they also have plastic inserts. So they're kind of hard. These weigh right at about 80 pounds right now. No laughing. I've been working out. Okay, so it's pretty simple. You're going to take these are empty, but when they are loaded, they're pretty heavy. So I'm going to carry it on my thigh. I'm going to get it up here if I'm doing this by myself. I'm going to get it up here. I'm going to actually get my leg up, get it up here, and I'm going to reach up, get the hooks, and get the hooks hooked on these crossbars. My next step is I'm actually going to lift the load and let it fall naturally. So that's going to let everything settle as I do it. So now, as my son lifts up here, future packer in the making, we're going to get his lifted up, hooked in, lift, and drop. There we go. Now, when we're doing this, you're actually going to want to watch your saddle. You're going to want to see how it shifts on the animal's back. If it's even, you're good to go. If you lift one and drop it and the whole thing shifts, obviously your cinch is loose. So the next step here is we're actually going to move on to our top load. Like I mentioned a little bit ago, we want our top load to be light. So we typically put all the weight forward and at the bottom of the bags. That way the weight's on the front shoulders, they can control it easier. If we put a lot of weight up high, they're going to have a hard time keeping their balance. So with these bags, they actually have a center strap. What I like to do is take my sleeping bags, put it on top of the bag, and actually strap that down. This does two things. It kind of starts to pull these bags away from the animal's ribs as you tighten this down, and it'll secure the start to my top load. All right, so as we move on, I got lighter things here that are going to go directly on the back. I got some sleeping pads, and they're going to go between the crossbars. I want all my load between these crossbars, because if it's behind it or in front of it, it can actually roll out if my lash starts to loosen, and you're going to drop it on the trail, your load's going to get loose, and you're probably going to have a wreck. So I like to get stuff squeezed in there tight and secure. The next step in this is actually covering it with our mani tarp. So we're going to use a tarp, we're going to go over the top, tuck it into the bags. It does multiple things. It helps secure our load, because as we cinch it down, that's going to help hold our load into that bundle. Two of these mani tarps, these good quality canvas mani tarps, are water resistant, so they're going to protect your load, and they're going to protect it from rubbing against trees, rocks, and along with water. So what I like to do is actually fold these right in the middle, and then I like to put that center seam right down the center of my pack, and we want it even from front to back and side to side. So we're going to go ahead and throw it up there, get on there, and we're going to start to get it centered. We'll get it centered there. Now I'm going to unfold it forward. Just fold it right in half, so I know my front to back is going to be pretty good here. And if we were packing for a weekend or a several-day getaway, in these boxes I like to put all my fragile items, my cooking equipment, anything that's important to me, cameras, spotting scopes, binoculars, because these boxes add a little protection over a soft bag. So that's how I'll pack these, and a lot of times I'll actually take a bag of Timothy pellets. The reason I like that, they're certified weed-free, so if I'm in a wilderness area or an area that requires weed-free grain or feed, I know I'm good to go. The reason I like the pellets over, say, hay, I can pack it in here and it will conform to what I'm packing it in. So a bag of...
Well, thanks for joining us this look at packing your horse or mule from the Idaho Horse Expo. See you next time on Speaking of Horses.